With May just around the corner, it's time to take a look at all of my comic spec picks for the entire month of May in 2023. Let's get started. And before we jump right into it, I did want to give you a quick reminder. I am doing my 1K subscriber giveaway. You can win one of two slabs that I have up for the giveaway. And I also have my PayPal and my Venmo in the description of this video if you wanted to support the channel. But now, let's get on to the spec picks. And first up is the week of May 3rd, 2023, and we have Star Wars Yoda number 7. With the spec for this pick being a possible introduction of the Mega Droid, a super weapon of the Separatist Army. After that, we have Cult of Carnage, Misery number 1. There's actually a couple first appearances in here. We have the first appearance of Liz Allen as Misery, and the first appearance of Madness. Next up is Edge of Spider-Verse number 1. This is probably one of my top picks for the entire month, and it has the first appearance of Spider Killer. And the solicitation also shows that this issue will introduce a bunch of brand new spiders, so there's just going to be several first appearances that you're probably going to want to check out. And I did want to also bring to your attention this awesome Ken Lashley variant that just, the cover A has the T-Rexes, and this one just has a little bit more of the spider family on it. So I thought I'd bring that one to your attention. There's a lot of really good ones, including a Peach Momoko, which I think is an exclusive, so I'm not including it. But it's actually one of her finer covers. Continuing on, we have Disney Villains Maleficent number 1, and it's basically just a solo series based on this villain from Sleeping Beauty. And the last spec pick, as far as kind of key value, the rest for May 3rd are going to be covers, is Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis number 1. And this is the first appearance of Carnage 2099 and the first appearance of Blade 2099. So if we have any type of time travel coming up, we might be able to actually see Carnage or maybe Blade 2099. Probably Blade more likely than Carnage in the MCU. But, it's a lot of people seem to like these 2099s. It has its own sort of niche market and fan base, so this might be something that could do well, sneaky well on the secondary market. Alright, and I did want to bring to your attention a couple of these covers. I do actually have one key. It's a number 1. There's not really spec value as far as first appearances stuff goes, but let's just get into it. And the first one up is the Star Wars Insider with Ahsoka on it, but it's Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. And I know Ahsoka's on a bunch of covers, blah, 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 but how many have Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka on here? And we just got the trailer, and with Mando being, we are basically putting all of our eggs in the Ahsoka basket, hoping that it's awesome. And if it is, then all things Rosario as Ahsoka will probably do pretty well in the secondary market. Don't know that this will be a quick flip, but it could be something that you might want to hold on to for a while if you're into Star Wars and Ahsoka. But this is I think it's like a $10 price tag, so you got to be willing to take that hit if it doesn't. So I wouldn't really recommend this particular one. It's a little bit more of a gamble than the rest. Because really at this point, that's what comic spec is. You never know what's going to happen or if it's even going to be good in the MCU, honestly. But anyway, let's just move on to Star Wars with Darth Maul on the cover. And, excuse me. This is Star Wars number 34 with it's apparently the Darth Maul hologram, which is interesting. It's not Darth Maul, it's a Darth Maul hologram, which is actually pretty cool and pretty specific, honestly. So There you go. Next up, this is the second to last one, and this is actually is a key. It's the number one, but it's for Volume 2 of Animal Castle. Number one did really well in the secondary market for Volume 1, and I think it got optioned, but it hasn't really turned into anything. I haven't heard of any news for it, so continuing to spec on this might not be that smart, but I did want to bring to your attention as it was big the first time it came around. But we have Animal Castle Volume 2, number 1. And the last one for the week of May 23rd, or I'm sorry, May 3rd, 2023, is Batman. Is the Batman facsimile edition with the first appearance of Poison Ivy. So that might be something that you'll want to check out. Now let's move on to May 10th, 2023. And next up is Batman Incorporated, number 8, with the first appearance, as you can see here. I'm sorry, it's the first cover appearance of Joker Incorporated. I believe the first actual appearance in the story was in number 7. I did cover that either in a New Comic Book Day or a previous FOC video. So if you checked that out and you saw that, you might be prepared for this one, especially if the book gets hot and sells out before you're able to get to the shops, especially because it comes out on Tuesday. So if you're banking on it being there on Wednesday when you show up, it could not be. Next up, we have Silk number 1, and there's nothing to this other than the fact that I am pretty much just automatically putting anything Spider Family into spec because you never know what seems to hit and what doesn't, and I almost think you can never go wrong with anything in the Spider Family. And this one brings me to Amazing Spider-Man number 25, which has no real spec value as far as the key value in the story. But there is an Amazing Disney 100 variant, the 1-for-100 black and white. But there is also a regular price variant in color, which I used in the thumbnail of this video. Next up is Extreme Venomverse number 1, and it's actually a grouping of alternate reality versions of Venom. So there's going to be some first appearances, including the first appearance of Venom as a samurai. And the last one for this week is X-Men number 1 it's just a reprint with a gatefold cover. Which I don't know what that means, but anyway, I actually have this one, I think in like a 3D thing. It might actually not be this one. But anyways, it's a pretty popular cover, especially for those of us who kind of grew up in the 90s with the X-Men. I really don't think there's been a good rendition of Cyclops other than, honestly, in the cartoon version. Cyclops was awesome in that, and yeah, he had some. You could see why they made him a little whinier in other renditions, but he wasn't that whiny, and he just had standards, and that's why he was the leader. And leaders with high standards can sometimes come across as a little bossy and yes, maybe even a little whiny and nitpicky. But that's what makes them the leader. That's why things work the way they do, is because of these people and their attention to detail and the fact that they care about all that. So it is a fine line, but I think that the cartoon did a much better job than any other rendition of Cyclops. So this is my Cyclops. I love this book. I'm definitely picking one up. Probably not for spec value, but any of these reprints of key issues and key covers and things like that could end up doing well in the secondary market. I don't think all of them will. You never know which one's going to pop off. So get the ones that you like, and then maybe get one extra just in case, and if not, then hey, you still got 2 of something you like. You can give one to a friend or something like that. The way I see it, I can always just give extra ones to my kids if it doesn't pop off. And then, they'll have that to grow up with. But that's going to do it for May 10th, 2023. And let's just keep this train rolling into May 17th, 2023 with Superman number 4. And there's actually a debut of Silver Banshee New Powers. And then just keep going with Batman Superman World's Finest, number 15. And is the first cover appearance of Ultramorpho and a possible introduction of Numazo. And just keep going. Venom 19. New character design for Eddie Brock. And it says that Eddie Brock will reach his true enlightenment, which will lead to his most powerful form yet, which is probably going to be a key. Now, he was pretty powerful in King in Black, and I don't know if we've seen Eddie Brock in anything since King in Black. I haven't really kept up with reading Venom. I collected the first few just in case there were some keys or anything like that, but there wasn't, so I kind of dropped off of it. But next up, we have Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider number 1. And honestly, anything Ghost Rider could really be of value because you never know which version of Ghost Rider they're going to pull from. And Kevin Feige does currently oversee all things Marvel, including Marvel comic books. So he might want to make sure that they're sliding stuff in, little hints or little things that they can say, hey, yeah, we can associate that comic with a movie that's coming out. And I'm pretty sure Ghost Rider's going to be coming to either a series or something pretty soon. But we have the first possible appearance, a cameo appearance of the Broker, and he can actually boost the powers of all of Ghost Rider's enemies, which would make for a really good comic as well as a really good villain in a movie. Or honestly, if he can boost the powers of all of the enemies, it'd probably most likely be a really good TV show, because there could be some mystery to it where his villains kind of start getting OP and we don't know why, and then it's the reveal of the Broker is the one behind it. Could be kind of in the penultimate episode of the season, and then the end of the season of season 1 is when he kind of gets it. Anyways, my brain just kind of went there with it. So I'm just dying for some really good Marvel content, guys, especially on Disney Plus. If you couldn't tell. Anyways, and next up is Avengers number 1, and this is the reprint of Avengers number 1 from 1963 with the first team appearance of the Avengers. Classic cover, obvious spec here, nothing really more to say. So let's move on to Avengers number 1, which is a new book coming out, and it has the introduction of the Tribulation events. And these are events unleashed by the Ashen Combine, and they're catastrophic events. But you can see on the cover here that we have Captain Marvel, Thor, Iron Man, Sam Wilson Cap, Vision, T'Challa, Black Panther, and Scarlet Witch. Now, all of them are still in the MCU, except for Tony Stark, Iron Man, and T'Challa, Black Panther. But they could just put in Shuri and Black Panther, and they could do Riri Williams and Iron Man, Iron... What is she called? I forget what she's called. But, then there you go. You got it fixed. At least as far as translating it over into the MCU if you wanted to do something like that. So let's move along. We got a couple left here in this week, and that is Vigil number 1, and it has the possible first appearance of Castle, who's a member of Vigil, but is also the first or a solo series featuring a newly introduced team, the Vigil, who is the namesake of this book. What they are is they are a group of rogue metahumans, and they are specifically targeting weaponized illegal technology. So it sounds like they're kind of trying to be like anonymous. I'm not quite sure, but that's the vibe I'm getting from it. And the last book for the week of May 17th, 2023 is Cyborg number 1. And it says that there's an introduction of an aggressive new company transforming Detroit into an engine for revolutionary artificial intelligence. So, you never know what's going to go on with DC and the DCU, DCEU, I don't know what they're calling it now. And this is a new book with Cyborg, so anything with number one, with anyone from the Justice League, might be worth checking out. So it's just at least on my list. We will see if it makes the final cut for that week of May 17th, 2023, when I do my new comic book day for that one in a few weeks. And next up is the week of May 24th, 2023, and kicking that week off, we have Storm number 1, with the first appearance of Blowback, a villainous weather entity, which is perfect because we all know Storm controls the weather. And now we have a villainous weather entity. I don't know what they mean by entity. It'd be very interesting to figure it out. I'm guessing it might not be a person per se, like how Eliath in the Loki show was kind of the gas cloud or something. I don't know. And then after that, we have the Unstoppable Doom Patrol number 3. And we just had a new first appearance in number 2. And this one has in the solicitation that a brand new metahuman unwittingly becomes a galactic fugitive. Robot Man and Negative Man embark on a cross-country road trip to save him, which is really interesting. I'm not familiar with Doom Patrol, but I guess it's maybe Mr. Negative and Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man has a Negative Man. I would have called him Negative Man, but I guess he might be Mr. Negative. I don't know if that's... So I don't know. I don't know if his powers are the same or what. But anyway, that's the spec on Unstoppable Doom Patrol number 3. And next we have Extreme Venomverse number 2 with first appearance of Venom from the 1602 universe. And the first appearance of LMV, a life model Venom. No idea what that is going to be, but I'm actually pretty excited to see and interested to see what that ends up being. But we can move on to another reprint, and this one this time is of Iron Man number 1 from 1968 of his first solo series featuring Iron Man. Next up is sort of my own personal pick. You probably won't see this on many other lists. Is Dead by Daylight number 1. I did mention it in my FOC, I think last week. But it does include a code to unlock an in-game charm. So this video game was actually super popular. I never played it, and I didn't see it hit the mainstream super big. But a lot of people I noticed were playing it sort of on their YouTube channel or on Twitch that... they're kind of YouTubers on what I like to watch, but then they also happen to play Dead by Daylight, and I do think that this could have some sneaky spec to it, because, I don't know, if I just don't see a lot of other YouTubers covering it, although they may, I don't know. I'd keep an eye on it as it gets closer to May 24th. If people aren't talking about it, this one could be a nice little sleeper pick, because when it comes out, people are going to want it and not realize, wow, I missed out on this. So anyways, that's my kind of sleeper pick for the month. After that, we have Fury number 1, which is Nick Fury, probably closer related to the MCU Nick Fury. And the solicitation reads that he's targeted by a new foe, so with first appearance, using the name Scorpio. Interested to see what that is. And then next up, we have City Boy number 1, which basically is a series featuring a new character, City Boy. After that, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin Lost Day Special number 1. And this one's closing out the month, the spec pick for this week. And it's just a one-shot set in the Roninverse. But there is that video game coming out, so really anything in the Roninverse I'm interested in. Just like High Republic or anything in the Spider family, I'm picking up now. Simply because there's that video game coming out, and I imagine that this video game is going to be sweet. So, I mean, I just have a feeling. But I would want to keep an eye out on what company is getting the rights to it, what engine they're going to be using, what developers they're going to be using, who's kind of directing the story and things like that, who's managing it. So, if that all looks good, anything Ronin could be going up here. And now we are on the last week of the month of May, and we have one book, honestly, for this week. And it's May 31st with Amazing Spider-Man number 26. And the solicitation of issue 27 references a shocking death in their previous issue, which would be number 26. So that's the last one for this week and for this month. Again, that's Amazing Spider-Man number 26 because there is a reference to a shocking death. Because issue 27, the next issue, references a shocking death in the previous issue. Alright everybody, that's going to go ahead and do it for me in this video. If you enjoyed it, which I hope you did, please click that thumbs up button to give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel to see more great comic book and collectible content like this. And don't forget, I am doing my 1K subscriber giveaway. You can win one of 2 awesome slabs. And I do have my PayPal and my Venmo in the description of this video. If you wanted to contribute and support this channel, be greatly appreciated. And I hope you enjoyed all of my work that I put into this video, all the information, found it useful. Now, there is going to be some changes and some updates as I get to closer and closer to some of those weeks. I don't get to see all of the variants because I don't own a store or anything like that. So I can only kind of see what's out there online, and usually you only get to see that about 2 weeks ahead of time. You get to see the FOC stuff, but even FOC doesn't always have all the variants and things like that. So keep paying attention to my weekly picks that I have coming out. I am going to be due a specifically May 3rd one for coming up for the next week, and I know it's going to have some additional ones that I didn't put into this one because they're more recent, and I think I'm a little bit less picky when I'm going week by week. This one is more, if I'm looking at the whole month, what do I think is the best of each week? So that's my thought process going into this. And again, don't forget to check out my weekly one. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed. Click the notifications to all. I think like 80% of you are not subscribed to me. So if you could, that would be great. But until the next video, thanks for checking this one out. And bye.